Static. Linked up with a couple exes just to make sure I'm protected. Cause losing me is like wearing heavy chains as your necklace. And I'm infinitely better. It's hard for them to accept it than any nigga they had or any nigga that's next. And come on, they fuck around and do some crazy shit. Like trying to lock me down forever on some baby shit. So I just tell them I'll be back on some lazy shit. They start asking questions, juke them on some shady shit. Come on, this the problem with being insane. Trying to settle down early, won't have me in no chain. Sitting courtside, but I'm trying to be in the game. There's something deep inside of me that's just not easily tamed. Come on, and I be trying to calm it down, but something about my spirit is attracted to the crown. Don't want no wedding ring, so I be dumbfound to CC every girl that I CC round town. But if I did, I'd tell them that I love them. Don't want no situation, I just really want to fuck them. And after I come through, I hit it crazy, then I tuck them. I just might leave a hoodie or a shirt, cause that's my custom. I'm telling you, I'm a pro at this shit. My stroke back and forth like we be rowing this shit. I fill her head with lies, but she be knowing this shit. So when it's time for our goodbyes, she start holding.
Unprivileged drinkers, baby.
Yo, what's going on? You got your host. Which I don't know. People call me all kinds of different stuff. You know what I mean? They call me Unc. They call me Reese. They call me Babe. My wife calls me Babe. Got my son calling me that too. But yeah, you know what I mean? We back with one of these episodes that we wanted to talk about. We've been trying to get this together for a very, very long time. You know, if anybody's been listening to our Unprivileged Drinkers podcast, you know that myself and my wife had a new baby. She had some complications with the incision, so there was a lot of stuff going on, but we finally back, and we want to come talk to the people, man. We got a real, I think, interesting topic that a lot of people overlook, or when they do mention it, they just talk about it in a way that is very vague. It's not in depth in the way in which we want to discuss it today. So without further ado, I'm going to bring my wife in, you know, let her introduce herself, talk to the people, babe.
Hey, I'm Neek. Unique, but mostly everybody called me Neek. My husband calls me Babe, but, you know, that's it. I don't got no other fancy names.
I think I don't know. Do I just call you that because you start calling me that? All right, it's interesting.
I don't know.
Communication is a motherfucker, isn't it?
It is. I don't know how we got there. I think we've been doing it for so long. I don't know who started it first.
Right. It's interesting. I'm just thinking about it like, who started this mess? But, you know, before we do anything, we like to do a little, I guess, well, we call it shot o'clock, but sip, right now it's kind of like our brunch time. So we're going to take a little sip. We got our favorite Simply. Shout out to Simply. I love Simply.
Yes.
This is Simply Orange with a pineapple, but with a little kick to it. You know,
a little kick to it.
We got some Sip Shine to top it off with, and I got the Arnold Shiner in mine,
and I got the Raspberry Shineade.
Yep. So yeah, this is you can go to CW Spirits, pick you up some. It's a pretty good product. I love it. Shout out to
really good
Kyle over there at Sip Shine. This is amazing. So you're supposed to clink with your man first. Jeez.
I needed a little sip.
Oh yeah, that's dynamite.
Yeah, this is really good. It's perfect.
Yeah. So what's the name for it, babe?
Yeah, we're gonna call this one a ME-Mosa.
ME-Mosa. I mean, you get it. But yeah, like I said, if you want, go to cwspirits.com. Anything over $125 is free shipping. Use the code UMP5 at checkout. You can save a percentage on anything you want. We also have something that we're going to try a little bit later. It's like boba, like little things here, leche.
Cocktail
caviar. Yep. And this particular one is raspberries. We're going to try this a little later, but yeah, you can also pick this up at CW Spirits whenever you get a chance to go shoot over there. But as we were saying before, this conversation is going to be about communication, and not just communication in a way where people just talk, but the multifaceted ways that you can communicate with all the forms of communication that we do have, and it being effective. we've gotten to a place in society where I think that a lot of people have become comfortable, with the idea of dysfunctional communication, where that whole, like the saying, I said what I said, even though that person may not agree with what you said, you kind of like shutting it off after what you say is what it is. You know what I'm saying? And I don't subscribe to that. We don't subscribe to that. You know what I mean? I think at a point in our relationship, I think I played bully ball, was like, I said what I said and that's it. And it was no coming back from that, where now we are at a place where we can communicate even through disagreements as well as letdowns, stuff like that, things that aren't comfortable, you know what I'm saying? And I think that's the part that is important for this generation, our generation, even ones before, because there's a lot of stubborn people. I know I have family members who didn't speak for years just due to whatever lack of understanding of things. So that is something that is important to me. You know what I mean? Like, and I know that I wasn't always the best communicator in a lot of ways, no matter what the relationship was. So again, this is a topic that we wanted to bring to the forefront. And you're a great communicator. I think you always have been. I think at a time where we didn't have social media, you were one to write letters. So I think that, people can utilize maybe some of what you have to say in regards to communication. How would you want to, like, I guess, kind of start and tackle what you think effective communication looks like without being toxic or negative?
So I do want to go back to when you said people like to talk about communication, but they basically generalize it as really vague. So what's been on my mind lately is a lot of what I know all of us have been seeing on social media when it comes to communication and relationships, and when things may not be going the way you want it to, or you may not be in the best space in whatever relationship, an intimate relationship, romantically, or just with a friend or family member. And the consensus, it seems like, is that language that says, you know what you did, I ain't got to tell you, and I'm going to cut you off type of thing, where you cutting people off with no explanations. You are assuming that somebody know how you feel. You're quiet, but your actions is really loud. So you assuming that, she should know or he should know what I'm thinking or what I'm feeling. I ain't got to tell you. We grown. That whole, what I believe to be that toxic energy is what does not speak to effective communication, in my opinion. I think that that's very toxic. I think that cutting people off that you love or that you claim to love without no explanation, I think that's immature. I think it's, I do think that it has levels to it where, obviously if you're in an abusive relationship and, verbally abusive, physically abusive, and you just got to get out. Right. Those type of situations, I believe, are the exception. But to just not tell nobody how you feeling and start acting funny or just never speak to them again, or you not reachable now or whatever, I think that that's toxic. And I think that that does not show that we're able to hold successful relationships.
Okay.
So that's a big piece right now, only because that's what I'm seeing on social media a lot. That's the narrative I think a lot of us are pushing, and a lot of people, they post something, repost something, it becomes bigger than what someone might have intended it to be, and now everybody, this is just the language, like, you know what you did. I cut people off without no explanation. It's just toxic.
Yeah, and I agree 100% because essentially, I'm new to most of the newer not newer, but to the platforms like Facebook, social, Instagram, things like that.
Right.
I hide within Twitter. Like, nobody finds me there. I'm cool there. Nobody cares about what I do.
Right.
And it's just, I like what I like. But I usually, my most, the reason why I use it the most is because I feel like news gets there fastest.
Okay.
So that's why I've always liked it. I'm big on sports, people. Y'all should know that if you listen to our Unprivileged Drinkers podcast. Big time Cowboys fan. Has been there about 5 times to the stadium. I love my team. So anything that happens, I usually get my information from there. So that's why that form of communication works best for me, because I like to be like the first to find out something. I don't want to be last where somebody texts me like, yo, you seen what happened with such such. So I'm that person. You know what I mean? I like to be in the know first. I just, that's just, like I said, that's my comfortable way of communication. But going back to what you were saying as far as how social media and the toxicity that comes along with some of these posts or things that people share, or if you know two people aren't on the same page, you knew they were, but now they're not, and they're throwing like indirect shots. It, I don't like seeing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like, especially when I know it's two people that really got real love for each other. It kind of like makes me go like, that's why I don't want to be on here, because I have an image of what I imagine people being like, and then when I see this, it's like, oh yeah, y'all just like this person, you know, just like that person. And that's not to say that everybody's like that, but I'm just saying like from a distance, it just kind of like you bringing other people into a situation where as if you just sit down and talk to that person. And if y'all don't agree, that's fine too. Like you can agree to disagree. You can move on from that. It's not the end of the world. You know what I mean? It's just that time is fleeting. You can't like rewind that and be like, oh damn, like, you know what I mean? You hear a lot of those, things that people do where they regret not doing this or regret not doing it, because time, like I said, it ain't slowing down for nobody. You know what I mean? And we've all had to take a back seat to what COVID has done these last couple of years. Like, you know what I mean? Like there was people really like not okay with being in the house. You know what I mean? And luckily for us, we didn't have that problem. You know what I mean? I heard a lot of people like, man, we ready to kill each other. And we literally have never had that problem. Like, and we've literally been stuck in the house together up until this point. You know what I mean?
Then.
Yeah, like really, like, you know what I mean? We haven't been back to work in the office like that on a consistent basis since then. So it's like, I think the biggest part of that is that level of communication. I think when you talk things out and you know, have an expectation of how you expect your partner to be, it alleviates that anxiety. I think a lot of people realize it now that they have anxiety. They don't suffer from it, you know what I mean? But they may have anxiety that causes them to feel a way and they react a certain way. So that goes into another part of communicating. I'm communicating because I noticed your level of anxiety a couple years ago, and I'm like, okay, there's a problem here. You know what I mean? Like,
It's a problem.
Yeah, there's a problem here. Like, you keep doing certain things, like little twitches and stuff, and I'm like, all right, it makes sense, because even when you like think about it, like when we used to, you know, at the old house, we were sleeping, you'd be like, oh, I just had a dream somebody broke in. It's like, what are you talking about? Like,
Yeah, well, when you dream,
I know,
it
but
feels real.
But that's not the point that I'm making. It's not the fact that you dream. It's the way you wake up after the dream, where you really like, no, we seriously got to get out of here because somebody's gonna break in the house. I know it's going to happen. It's like, yeah, it's not. I mean, not that it can't, but I'm just saying.
not that it wouldn't have, because it could have.
It could have, but it didn't.
That was during the time where people was like they had home invasions and stuff going on.
Right.
So it was subconsciously, I already was anxious about it. So dreaming it and it feeling real and having a kid at that time, everything just was piling on me in those dreams. And I wasn't having it just like, you know, I have the dream and that's it. I wake up in a frenzy and it's over. No, I was having the dreams multiple times.
But that's due to your anxiety, though.
It was driving me crazy. So it was like, we got to go.
Yeah, it was due to your anxiety. But yet and still, I wanted to kind of like talk about how, you know, we both have like pretty big families. Like overall, my immediate family, as far as siblings, is a little larger than yours, but still, we have a large family in total.
Right.
And I've been privy to your family's communication styles and habits. You've been privy to my family's communication styles and habits. What is it? I'm gonna start with my family first. What is it that you think that my family could benefit from in your communication styles, like in your family's communication style?
So, all right. So when it comes to my family's communication style, what I will say is that even if the words may not be loving in the moment, what I will say is that a lot of us have a mentality of not brushing things away. So we won't sit on something for a long time. It's not going to be something that's going on where we don't all know what's going on. It might not be handled in the healthiest or the best way possible, but I do believe that, and this is just my immediate family we're speaking about.
Right.
I believe that we have the ability to get it out. Like we'll say it. I don't think that time goes on where it's like, oh, I didn't know that you felt like this, or, saying is not a problem, and it really is. You know what I'm saying? So I think that we are more vocal.
Okay.
At the forefront of things. Like I said, even if it's not received well, or even if it's not, I think it's out in the open.
It's out, right. Okay. I see what you're saying. I didn't follow what you were saying.
Right. So benefiting from, maybe looking at everything as an emergency type of thing, where it's like, and it's not, everything is not an emergency, but for me, when it comes to my immediate family, my mom, my sisters, I feel as though when something ain't right, it's an emergency to me, because I don't personally like to be in a position where me and my mom or me and one of my siblings aren't speaking. It don't feel right. So when I'm in a seat where I'm involved in something with one of my family members, I overanalyze. I sit and I think for a long time, and I try to figure out, how can this be fixed? Like, I'm a fixer at heart. I'm always looking for some type of solution. How can we make it better? So I think that part of communication is important, to not sit on things and not let it fester to become bigger than what it already is.
I think, yeah. And I would say that is something that we, and I'm speaking of my family, we could do better at, because I know that we will allow, and that's not just my generation, but I know older generations in my family have allowed things to fester over years, decades, and not speak behind it. You know what I mean? Like even my dad and my uncle, after my grandma passed in 2009, they didn't speak again, from my understanding, until my uncle passed with COVID, and that was like 2020. So you're talking about like maybe 10 years or so, 10, 11 years. So I think that like you said, like getting that initial feeling or whatever that emotion is out there first to people, or to that person that you may be having that disagreement or argument with, at least they know what you're thinking and or feeling. Whereas though there's a lot of times where you like, we kind of leave it out there, like, what's up. Like, no, you don't. Like, right. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what's going on.
You ain't tell me.
You ain't tell me, right? Exactly. Like, you didn't tell me that, so how would I know that that's exactly how you're feeling? And it's like, it's that assumption of, you know what I said. Like, you know how I felt. Like, no, I don't. Like, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
We're not mind readers here, so we can't pretend as if, that is just the norm. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
But as a society, we are making that a thing. Like, I said what I said, and it's like, huh? What did you actually say? Like, you know what I mean? Like, people, and I get it. Nonverbal communication is a thing. Nobody's going to take that away from you.
Of course.
But
it can even go back to, like, when people say, I said what I said, or how I feel. A lot of times it's pride. Like, for example,
pride, exactly.
We all adult. We all are juggling adult friendships and relationships. And if I ain't talked to my friend, somebody who I'm saying is my friend, genuinely, if I ain't talked to you in 2 months, some people, it'll start going through their minds like, I ain't talked to him or her in 2 months. They must not fuck with me like that. Right. And it's like, oh, well, I'm keep that same energy. Instead of minimizing your pride in a moment and saying, you know what, I miss my friend. Let me call, let me text, let me be the one to reach out. Instead, we got this idea that we want to, you should reach out to, like, I don't know. For me, I don't calculate as much. So a lot of times I wouldn't always be able to tell you, like, last time we talked, I text you, or last time we talked, I called you. If I miss you, if I want to talk to you, I'm going to talk to you. But there is a such thing as, and this is the flip side of that, it is a such thing as in your silence, your actions, your demeanor can be very loud to somebody, and it could come across as, you acting funny, or you not feeling me. And then that's where the confusion starts, when it could just all be nipped in the bud with communication from the beginning. If you just tell somebody how you feel, because that's another thing. A lot of times people don't like to feel vulnerable in a moment. So, and there he is.
And there he goes.
Messiah Eubanks.
Yeah, so this is our new child. He's just waking up. We was trying to get this done before he did that. But I'm gonna hold it while you go ahead and do that. But I agree with pretty much everything that you're saying. It's just, like I said, I'm trying to think of ways that I know that we can have better communication with my family and my family dynamic, and how I can extend that to other people out there that may be going through things. Like, I know in my family, we have had, and probably will in the future, have family meetings where people have to come and talk and sit down and be vulnerable and spill out what may have made them feel away, or what was said on social media that they disagree with, or what anything. It's just like, it's all of these different things that kind of go into like just dysfunction. You know what I mean? Like, and we've all seen it. You know what I mean? And it's unfortunate because somebody will say, well, I didn't know y'all was going to X, Y, and Z. And then it's like, oh, well, I put it on social media. Well, that wasn't for me. You know what I mean? You didn't tell me exactly. So it's just like, it's one of those things where I just want my family just to kind of like show a better, just be better with communication. You know what I mean? Because we have so many tools at our disposal. A lot of us are following each other on TikTok. I mean, TikTok, you can say that, even though that's not really like, we don't communicate like that through there. It's more like entertainment. But like, you know, the Facebooks, the Instagrams, you know, all of those different platforms that people have that aren't being utilized in the way that they should be and they could be. You know what I mean? Because it could be used for fun and entertainment, and that's fine. But if you just don't want to talk to somebody or whatever the case is, but you still posting like you so happy and everything's good, and it's like, well, damn, I called you, you ain't respond. I think that we need to take, take account for that, because sometimes like people want to hear from you, like, and it's unfortunate that a lot of people don't know how to say like, yo, I missed you. You know what I mean? Like, I really want your presence not being at this particular event or not showing up for this. It hurt me a little bit because like you bring this level of that to it or whatever the case may be. So I feel like if we can at least get to a point where we are saying what it is we're feeling without holding on to it or talking to the other person. Yes. You know what I mean? About somebody else's situation. And we've all done it. That's not, we're not going to try to make it seem like, you know, anybody's perfect. You get on the phone with somebody and they're like, yeah, because they said, I'm like, yeah, they do that to me too. And then before you know, you caught up in it and like, well, yeah, I was talking to them. They said, I'm like, wait, but I was agreeing because she do it to me too, or he do it to me too. But that don't mean that I feel like you feel, you know what I'm saying? So I just think that what you said, it could work for my family dynamic as well, where at least if you just get it out there first, you know, it's at least it's out there. There's no guessing game. Like, I don't know why they're not talking to me. I don't know why they like, you know what I mean? Am I blocked? I don't see their stories no more. Like all of that shit that I hear about. And that's the piece I think for me. Like I know, and I want to say that I'm not gonna say we all, but you know, I know I've been in the past guilty of that, and not necessarily me saying like I'm not going to communicate. You know, is a part of me that's a big part of me that feels like, you know, if somebody got, you know, something, a problem or an issue specifically towards me, and they move funny and act funny towards me, at that moment I feel like it's not my responsibility to be the kid, because I'm fine. So I'm communicating as normal. I see what you're saying. Yeah. I'm talking to you. I might text you, or I'm being who I've always been. And when you start to move funny towards me, or you make a choice that don't line up with the way our relationship has been, I've gotten tired of being the one that I felt like I got to be the one that's mature for everybody. Now I got to address what's your issue. So now I got to ask you, what's your problem? Right. Because I already got to I already got to come to you and say what my problem is, if any. But I don't have a problem. But I'm feeling like you had a problem. So now I got to come to you and make you be mature to say, what's your issue? Right. Oh, because I was feeling like X, Y, and Z. Well, why you ain't just tell me? Like, so for me, I know over the years with a lot of my relationships, I've gotten to that point of like, I'm not going to keep pulling people's teeth. If you got a problem with me, say it. If you don't, it must not have been that important. But if I notice you moving funny, I'm going to move out the way. Yeah. And that's just how that's going to be. But I do think, you know, certain things are, and with certain people, I will say that that's not a black and white statement for me. Like, I can't act as if I'm going to be like that with everybody. Like, you know, if my mom start, you know, just... Yeah.
I know this hypothetical. I ain't probably gonna be like, oh, well, that's what it is. Like, I guess I'll never talk to my mom. Like, it ain't gonna be on nothing like that. But that's where, you know, the communication, like, it really can eliminate a lot of problems. In the indirect communication too, like, it's hurtful. Indirect communication, and not saying, like, you know, the social media things like that, because that stuff, I feel like
you bringing in the world, like, everybody you follow into the business,
right?
Making them guess, like, ooh, who's she talking about? Which one? Like,
right, like that kind of stuff. Is when it comes to your family, when it comes to people who you feel like this is my close friend, I feel like nothing should be off the table. Like, I feel like when, you know, it's easy to do that with people who you're not really in close relationship with, to be like, oh, well, I guess we, whatever. Right. But when it comes to your family, your siblings, your parents, your cousins, you know, anybody who you feel like something happened to them today or tomorrow, you will be sick.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it. Like, death is very real. And for me, I ask myself, if something was to happen to this person today or tomorrow, will I regret where we are today? Do I feel like I've done all I can do on my part to save or to keep this relationship healthy? And if I could say yes, then that's, you know, that's cool. But if I could say no, if I'm going to honestly say no, and I can self-reflect and say I could have done this better, then I feel like it's worth a chance for you to be a part of the healing process. Yeah.
And I started off by asking you, what did you think that would be like a good communication style or form for my family? Do you have a suggestion of what you think would be good for yours, or something that we do, I should say, that could be good for yours? Like, take the good from ours and apply it to yours.
So what I will say is that before I knew, like, y'all was having family meetings and stuff like that, that wasn't something that we would do. Like, we've never really sat and said, you know, we're going to have a family meeting.
Okay.
I know we just recently had one from my suggestion of being like, you know, let's all talk.
From my suggestion.
Our suggestion. Let's all talk or whatever. Right. But prior to, when I knew that y'all were having family meetings, I admired that, because I was like, you know what, that's, you know, everybody getting together, somebody recognizing that something ain't right, and being the person to say, you know what, let's all get together, let's all talk. So I think the idea of a family meeting is excellent, is amazing, because you're giving everybody a platform.
Right.
And
opening
I think
the floor up for
you, opening the floor up, and, you know, starting it out with prayer, making sure everybody understands that we're all here for a common goal. That's because we love each other. That's because we want to all fix whatever is going on between us as a family. I think that that's amazing. I do believe that when you have family meetings in any family, there needs to be a willingness to be transparent, a willingness to be honest, a willingness to come and be present. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And participate.
Yep. Because if you have an issue, which I think at that point, if we're having a family meeting, it's already been understood that there's
somewhere
there's a problem.
Somebody know that you got the issue. You got the issue.
Exactly. We're not here just to be like, oh, well, I'm good. No, we're here because we recognize that there's an issue, and we've sensed a little bit of a divide here or whatever, or fall off in this and that way. So, I do agree with you. I think that it is great for anybody, you know what I mean? Because like I said, once you recognize that there's a problem, then, you know, you can address it the right way. So, like I said, that level of vulnerability, that level of transparency needs to be ever present during those meetings. Sometimes I know that it takes a few minutes or so for people to kind of like get that level of comfortability. And there's our other son.
There's Mason.
But yeah, I think that, you know, once you kind of get into that groove of discussing, I think that, you know, people need to be vulnerable.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because if you have an issue, that vulnerability, some people look at it like it's a weakness, but really, I've always said, not always, but I've more recently in the last however many years have been saying that the vulnerability can be a strength. You know what I mean? When you show that this is something that, you know, this bothered me. You know what I mean? That hurt. You know, those things matter.
Absolutely.
So, I just think that we need to, as a people and culturally, get to that place again where we can sit down and talk. You know what I mean? Yes, you want some orange juice, son?
Yes.
All right. But yeah, we just have to get back to that, and I think that we've gotten, our families at least have gotten to a place where we don't all agree on everything. We don't always see eye to eye, but at the end of the day, there's a level of respect at the very least that
Right.
we hoping for. You know what I mean? Like, you don't come together and it's like they want to fight or, you know, that kind of stuff. We don't want that in no way, shape, or form, because we all love each other. But
yeah, and I think that's another thing that I can say we can take from your family dynamic, is that I believe that even when there are, like, you know, if something is going on, everyone's kind of able to coexist and still enjoy themselves together. In moments where it's not necessary to bring that energy. Let's just say that. Like, in times where we have to be around each other and the energy is not necessary, like it's not the time or the place type of thing, I think that everyone does good at, you know, respecting each other and coexisting in a way where everybody still feels like family. You know what I mean?
absolutely. So yeah, we don't know how much longer we're gonna be able to do this, because we got, you know, we got 2 kids.
Babies.
We got in 30 minutes. We actually wanted to get in 30 minutes. That's the funny part. We just reached 30 minutes in doing this, but you know, maybe we'll have a part 2, and where we can kind of get back into this a little bit. He's drinking out of the container. He wants to be breastfed. It's a mess over here. But we appreciate your time. You know what I mean? We want to continue this conversation a little bit later. It's Unprivileged Drinkers. Reese and Neek. It's an unprivileged conversation about communication. It's a hot topic right now, and I think that we need to. I'm happy to bring this to a forefront, and hopefully people will respond to this comment and let us know what they're thinking.
Right.
But yeah, we appreciate your time. Thank you, Unprivileged Drinkers. We out of here.
Static. Linked up with a couple exes just to make sure I'm protected, cause losing me is like wearing heavy chains as your necklace, and I'm infinitely better. It's hard for them to accept it than any nigga they had or any nigga that's next. And come on, they fuck around and do some crazy shit, like trying to lock me down forever on some baby shit. So I just tell them I'll be back on some lazy shit. They start asking questions, juking on some shady shit. Come on, this the problem with being insane. Trying to settle down early, won't have me in no chain. Sitting courtside, but I'm trying to be in the game. There's something deep inside of me that's just not easily tamed. Come on. And I be trying to calm it down, but something about my spirit is attracted to the crown. Don't want no wedding ring, so I be dumbfound to CC every girl that I'd CC round town. But if I did, I'd tell them that I love them. Don't want no situation, I just really want to fuck them. And after I come through, I hit it crazy, then I tuck them. I just might leave a hoodie or a shirt, cause that's my custom. I'm telling you, I'm a pro at this shit. My stroke back and forth like we be rowing this shit. I fill her head with lies, but she be knowing this shit. So when it's time for our goodbyes, she start hoeing this shit. Come on, I'm all glowing this shit. Dice in my hand now, so I be rolling this shit. And my bars like a river, they be flowing this shit. And her ass real fast, so I be holding her shit. Come on. Come on. Come on. Why would you ever want to smoke with me? I'm in the front, you in the back, that's how it's supposed to be.